We often find ourselves at crossroads, facing decisions that could potentially alter the course of our existence. It's during these pivotal moments that many of us seek guidance and direction, turning to our faith for answers. Just as God reveals signs of His blessings and transformations in our lives, He also communicates warnings, urging us to pay attention and heed His divine counsel. Here are 7 signs that God may be warning you, signaling a time of spiritual discernment and introspection. Persistent inner disquiet. Have you ever experienced that persistent inner voice, nudging you towards a decision or urging you to reconsider a path you're on? It's like a quiet whisper in the depths of your soul, refusing to be ignored. Maybe it's that feeling in your gut when you know something just isn't right, or the unease that keeps you up at night. In Proverbs 20:27, it says, "The spirit of man is the lamp of the Lord, searching all his innermost parts." This suggests that God communicates with us through our innermost being, often using inner disquiet to guide us. I remember a time when I was offered what seemed like a dream job, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling of unease. Despite the allure of the opportunity, I ultimately chose to listen to that inner voice, and it led me to a path that was far more fulfilling and aligned with God's plan for my life. Repeated obstacles and challenges. Life is full of ups and downs, but what if those setbacks weren't just random occurrences? What if they were actually divine interventions, nudging us towards a better path? Think about a time when you faced obstacle after obstacle in pursuit of a goal or dream. It's easy to get discouraged and wonder if it's a sign to give up. But in James 1:2-4, it says, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness." These challenges aren't meant to break us. They're meant to build our character and strengthen our faith. I remember a time when I faced repeated rejections in my job search. Each rejection felt like a blow to my confidence. But looking back, I can see how each setback ultimately led me to a better opportunity. It was a humbling reminder that God's plan is always greater than our own. Deteriorating relationships. Relationships are the fabric of our lives. But what happens when they start to fray at the edges? When conflicts arise and tensions run high, it's easy to point fingers or sweep issues under the rug. But what if those relational rifts were actually God's way of nudging us towards healthier connections? In Matthew 5:9, it says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God." This verse reminds us of the importance of pursuing reconciliation and peace in our relationships, even when it's difficult. I remember a time when I found myself at odds with a close friend. Instead of letting pride get in the way, I chose to extend an olive branch and initiate a conversation. It wasn't easy, but it ultimately led to a deeper understanding and strengthened our bond. It was a powerful reminder that God's love calls us to bridge divides and build bridges, even in the midst of conflict, loss of peace and clarity. Have you ever felt like you're lost in a fog, unable to see clearly or find your way forward when the storms of life rage around us? It's easy to lose sight of that inner calm that once anchored our souls. But what if that loss of peace and clarity was actually an invitation from God to seek refuge in Him? In Philippians 4:6-7, it says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." This passage reminds us that true peace comes from surrendering our worries and anxieties to God. I remember a time when I was facing a major decision that kept me up at night. No matter how much I tried to analyze the situation, I couldn't find clarity. It wasn't until I turned to prayer and sought God's guidance that I found peace amidst the uncertainty. It was a humbling reminder that true clarity comes from trusting in God's wisdom, even when we can't see the way forward. Intuitive warning signs. We've all had those moments when our gut instinct kicks in, warning us of potential danger or guiding us towards a better path. Whether it's a gut feeling, a persistent thought, or a vivid dream, these intuitive nudges often carry profound spiritual significance. In John 10:27, it says, "My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me." This verse reminds us that God speaks to us in many ways, often through our intuition. I remember a time when I had a gut feeling about a business deal that seemed too good to be true. Despite the promise of financial gain, something didn't sit right with me. It wasn't until I listened to that inner voice and did some digging that I uncovered the truth. It was a scam. It was a sobering reminder that God's guidance isn't always flashy or dramatic. Sometimes, it comes in the form of a quiet whisper, urging us to tread carefully. Unexplained circumstances. Life is full of twists and turns, and sometimes, things just don't go according to plan. But what if those seemingly random events were actually part of a bigger plan? In Romans 8:28, it says, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose." This verse reminds us that even in the midst of chaos, God is still at work, orchestrating every detail for our ultimate good. I remember a time when I lost my job unexpectedly. It felt like the rug had been pulled out from under me, and I didn't know how I would recover. But looking back, I can see how that seemingly devastating setback ultimately led me to a better opportunity. It was a powerful reminder that God's plan is always greater than our own, even when we can't see the bigger picture. Lack of spiritual alignment. Have you ever felt like you're drifting aimlessly, spiritually speaking, like your faith is running on autopilot, and you're just going through the motions? It's easy to get caught up in the business of life and lose sight of what truly matters. In James 4:8, it says, "Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded." This verse reminds us of the importance of actively seeking intimacy with God and realigning our hearts with his purpose for our lives. I remember a time when I found myself feeling spiritually adrift, going through the motions of religious observance without truly connecting with God. It wasn't until I took a step back and prioritized my relationship with him that I found renewed purpose and direction. It was a humbling reminder that true fulfillment comes from drawing near to God and aligning our hearts with his will. In conclusion, when we encounter these signs of warning from God, it's important not to dismiss them as mere coincidences or obstacles to be overcome. Instead, let's view them as gentle nudges from a loving Father, guiding us towards his perfect plan for our lives. Whether it's that persistent inner disquiet, repeated obstacles, or deteriorating relationships, each sign serves as a reminder to pause, reflect, and seek God's guidance. As we navigate life's twists and turns, let's remember the promise found in Jeremiah 29:11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope." Even in the midst of uncertainty, God's plans for us are good, and he is always working behind the scenes to lead us towards a brighter tomorrow. So, let's lean into these signs of warning, trusting that God is with us every step of the way. And if you found this message helpful, we invite you to subscribe to our channel for more uplifting and inspiring content. Together, let's journey towards a deeper understanding of God's love and guidance in our lives. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you abundantly on your journey ahead.